This is Hannibal from the HannibalTV.com, back with some breaking news, I guess, from WWE Raw. And by the way, I do have Piper beside me as well. But it's funny, I just did a report, my daily news report, and I was talking about how lame this upcoming WWE card in Ottawa is that was going to feature Sasha Banks and Naomi. And despite it being a worse card than in the small town of Kingston, Ontario, the same night where they've stacked the cards and tickets are actually way cheaper for Kingston too. I found that interesting, but apparently Sasha Banks and Naomi have walked out on WWE. So this card in Ottawa will be even lamer. So that's funny. WWE has released a statement on it, so I'll quote it. They said, and this statement totally breaks kayfabe, which WWE does not care about kayfabe. They say, when Sasha Banks and Naomi arrived at the arena this afternoon, they were informed of their participation in the main event of tonight's Monday Night Raw. During the broadcast, they walked into WWE Head of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis' office with their suitcases in hand, placed their tag team championship belts on the desk, and walked out. They claimed they weren't respected enough as tag team champions, and even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match, they claimed they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents, even though they had matches in the past with those individuals with no consequences. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live TV show whose characters are expected to perform the requirements of their contract. We regret we were unable to deliver as advertised tonight's main event. End quote. That was it. So apparently they changed the main event after they walked out, and it was reported earlier in the night before WWE put out that statement that Sasha Banks apparently had issues with some of the creative, which was going to be a six-pack challenge to determine the challenger to the next Raw Women's Championship that both Naomi and Banks were a part of. And apparently Banks had a meeting with Vince McMahon. This is according to according to PW Insider. And when McMahon did not change the plans, Banks wouldn't back down and left the taping, and Naomi took her side. And apparently the other people involved in this six-pack challenge were supposed to be Doudrop, Nikki Ash, Azuka, and Becky Lynch. And that was advertised at the start of Raw. So I don't know. Wrestlers are spoiled these days, and that's WWE totally breaking kayfabe, talking about matches being planned, but they want their show to be seen more like a rehearsed television show than wrestling these days. And yes, as a wrestler, you are an actor. I hate to not take the talent side on this, but as a wrestler, you're an actor. It's just like if you sign a contract to do a movie. I mean, in acting, it's a little different because you get the scripts in advance. In wrestling, you're getting a different script every week, but you know what you're getting into. So to walk out on your contract, I'm sure there will be financial consequences to that, and they won't be able to just straight jump anywhere right away. I do actually like Sasha Banks. I heard a Steve Austin interview with her, and I also saw her on Logan Paul's podcast recently. And she did say on that podcast that she was dating somebody from WWE, but it was not a wrestler. So I wonder exactly who it is that Sasha Banks is dating from WWE that is not a wrestler. If you know, let me know in the comments, because I'd be curious to find out. But yeah, that's a bizarre situation. It's rare. The last time I can remember a talent walking out was when Steve Austin was asked to job to Brock Lesnar. and he walked out, and they kept saying he took his ball and went home. Sasha Banks is probably financially secure by now. I don't know much about Naomi. I didn't even know they were tag team champions until tonight, because it's so confusing with different brands with champions, and titles change a lot. But yeah, there you go. I would say it's not a work because they broke kayfabe so much on it in regards to the rehearsals, and that was definitely seemed like a very legal statement that WWE put out. And I don't see the benefit of breaking kayfabe that much in an angle, and it's not like whoever they had the issue with working. I mean, no offense to any of these girls, but the other girls in the match were pretty much. I guess Becky Lynch is known, but she's on her way down from her height of popularity. But I wouldn't see a big rematch happening with any of those people. What about Sasha cries a lot? It seems. John, no, I don't believe it's a storyline. It is more interesting. It's the most interesting thing that was on that I heard coming out of Raw tonight. What do you think about that, Piper? She doesn't even want to look at me. She's mad I'm not petting her. Crying says she doesn't blame her for walking out on the company. Well, the thing is, you agree to the contracts. And they do make you a hell of a lot of money in WWE, and their wrestlers are very spoiled. It's not like either of those girls were on the indies for years, working for $20 to zero pay to $50 before getting signed. They were both signed very early. I know at least Sasha Banks was signed pretty darn early. I don't know much about Naomi, but you can't just walk out when you've signed a contract to do something and you're being paid very well to do something. But I don't agree with WWE breaking kayfabe like that so much. About safety, yeah. The thing is, with the safety stuff, honestly, wrestlers just aren't tough these days. It used to be if you had an issue with someone or you felt that they weren't safe, you just would fight them in the ring, or you wouldn't let them do stuff to you. It's just they are divas. Mitch Miller says divas, and a lot of the guys are the divas now too. They weren't even on Raw, Jeremy, because they walked out. Someone says unsafe work environment. Robert, if Sasha's under contract, she can't just go to AEW. She'll have to wait till the end of her contract. It's not like they're just working on a nightly basis. They're under contract, so there'll be a whole legal. Remember when Brock Lesnar left during his contract? There was a whole legal situation there. Bobby, Roman just signed a new agreement. It just came out last Friday. Roman signed a new agreement. Rob, they appeared to quit. They apparently walked out on the company. Al says Naomi there is just there to drive her husband to the show. Oh, if is Naomi one of those guys, the twins or the Usos' wife? Josh, thank you. I wish I had the budget of either of those companies. Ralph, yes, they got to be financially secured to do that. Although if Naomi is the husband of one of the Usos, that WWE could punish the Usos for that. They've been known to punish the couples whenever bad stuff happens. There we go. Yeah, so they're married. She's married to Jimmy Usos. Yeah. DG for the company. breaking kayfabe like that. I mean, they do break kayfabe all the time. But as Kevin Sullivan said it, I hate to say this because I said it a million times, but Kevin Sullivan recently said it in a podcast that aired on this channel. It was his Super Brawl 1 podcast where he said the curtain is far too open these days. You need to close it a bit shut. You need mystery. It's just like in dating. When there's no mystery, you lose interest. Okay? I've become a bit of a dating expert recently. It's just like in wrestling. If there's absolutely no mystery to wrestling anymore and no mystique, people lose interest. So weird situation, but at least it made some interesting news for tonight. So good. Even though I don't agree with the decision, I could understand why she may have been frustrated, and I do like Sasha Banks. So I wish her luck in the future. If I could see WWE trying to work this out, and I could see them trying to work this out once they realize the legal ramifications of breaking a contract like this. I guess time will tell what happens. But for now, at least there's some interesting news today because there really wasn't. And again, Ottawa, my hometown, sorry, we haven't had wrestling WWE here in 3 years. And you can cross two wrestlers off an already very lame card. Fans can drive the extra 2 hours to Kingston. Drive to the 100,000 person town for the better card and pay less for the tickets. You'll, by the time it'll be about the same for tickets by the time you add the 2 hours each way of gas, but you'll get a better show. So smash the like button. Piper wants you to do that. Hit the like button for her. Do her a favor. She likes when videos get recommended more. Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video. Then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Facebook at the Hannibal TV for more live streams and videos. And while you're at it, follow us on Instagram and Twitter